Imagine waking up one morning, looking out your window, and realizing something strange, something almost unreal. The sun isn't coming up. Not today, not tomorrow, not for the rest of the week. In fact, it won't come back for more than 2 entire months. That's the reality right now for the people of Utqiaġvik, Alaska, the northernmost city in the United States. Sitting at an incredible 71.17 degrees north, deep inside the Arctic Circle, this town of about 4,400 to 5,000 people just watched its final sunset of the year on November 18th, 2025. The next sunrise? That won't happen until around January 2026. Some reports say January 26, but either way that means 64 to 65 days of life without the sun ever rising above the horizon. It sounds unbelievable, almost like science fiction, but for the people living here, this is normal. Every year the sun leaves, and every year they learn to live without it. Now let's talk about why this happens, because it's one of the most fascinating things about our planet. The Earth isn't standing straight up, it's tilted at about 23.5 degrees. That tilt is the reason we have seasons, the reason summer is warm, and the reason winter is cold. But in places far up north, and I mean extremely far up, that tilt creates dramatic changes in sunlight. Utqiaġvik is so far north that during winter, the Earth's tilt literally points it away from the sun. Even when the sun tries to rise, the curve of the Earth blocks it, so it never gets high enough to peak over the horizon. That period when the sun doesn't rise at all is known as polar night. Now, polar night doesn't mean the entire city becomes pitch black 24 hours a day. That's a common misunderstanding. In reality, they get something called civil twilight, a soft, dim, bluish light for a couple of hours each day. It's almost like the sky is stuck at the edge of sunrise, but never fully gets there. You can still see the outline of buildings, snow, and the landscape, but the sun itself, gone. And with the sun disappearing, temperatures drop fast. Without any daytime warming, the cold becomes sharper and more dangerous. This long stretch of darkness also affects something much bigger, the atmosphere. Scientists say the lack of sunlight contributes to the formation of the polar vortex, a huge mass of freezing, super cold air that forms high in the stratosphere. It can affect weather patterns across the entire northern hemisphere. So yes, a tiny city in Alaska entering darkness can eventually influence winter storms thousands of miles away. But despite these challenging conditions, the people of Utqiaġvik are resilient. They've adapted to a life that most of us can't even imagine. Imagine taking your kids to school when it looks like midnight. Imagine going to work while feeling like you should be in bed. Imagine not seeing sunlight for 64 days straight and still finding joy, routine, and normalcy. And yet the community remains strong. Residents decorate their homes with warm lights, they stay close with family, cook comfort foods, and create routines to stay mentally healthy. Many people use special lights that mimic sunlight to help regulate their sleep and mood. Life continues here, it just happens under a permanently dark sky, and when the sun finally returns in January, it becomes a celebration. People gather outside to watch those first golden rays peek over the horizon. Kids cheer, adults cry, and the whole town feels alive again. After living in darkness for so long, that first sunrise feels like a miracle. Just imagine it. 2 months without sunlight, then suddenly, warmth, color, and life return to the sky. It's a moment most of us will never experience, but for the people of Utqiaġvik, it happens every year. Their world turns dark, and then their world lights up again. So the next time you feel annoyed because the sun sets at 5 p.m., remember there's a place where people won't see the sun until next year. A place where night lasts more than 2 months. A place that shows just how amazing, strange, and beautiful our planet really is. And before you go, don't forget, we made a previous video all about Salt Lake City. And if you haven't watched it yet, make sure to check it out, and trust me, you don't want to miss it.